What's up, guys? This is Jay Corbett of Team Sanctum, and we're here with Michael Van Sickles yet again. It's been a while, though. How's it going, buddy?
Yeah, pretty good. Got something for fun.
All right, what do you got for us for fun?
I got ice barriers. The deck is not competitive at all. This is just something fun we were doing with DT decks within our team, so I figured I'd share what I got with you.
Cool, and if you want to make it meta, just throw in 3 Ash, 3 Ogre, and 3...
That is not all you gotta do. Trust me. There's way more you gotta do with this deck if you want to take it to a regional, but let's get into this.
Yeah, let's get right into this deck.
Okay, so to start off, arguably the best monster in the deck, prior to the ice barrier, he can summon himself if you got an ice barrier on field, but you can't summon level 5 or higher for the turn, and you can... If he's on the field, you can tribute him to summon any ice barrier from grave, so you can bring back your Synchros, bring back other monsters, the big guys in the deck if you haven't special summoned that turn, but pretty good. He's also level 2 Aqua, so you guys can guess where this is going. Next up, we got 2 secret guards of the ice barrier. Protects ice barriers on the field from targeting monster effects. I gotta have an ice barrier for that. That's going to be the theme for the rest of these monster effects pretty much, but it's also another level 2 Aqua. And then last but not least for the level 2s, we got Cryomancer. He's a walking gravity bind. He's also a tuner. It's ice barriers after all. You've all heard of the Synchros in the extra deck, so. Next up, we got our level 3s. It's Defender of the Ice Barrier. If I got an Ice Barrier on the field, monsters with attack equal to or greater than that my opponent controls can't declare an attack. So another really good way of protecting myself. The deck's pretty slow, but if you can get him out with another Ice Barrier, you can slow down your opponent and make them play at your speed. It's kind of how the deck wins. Next up, the other card vying for the best ice barrier slot in the main deck, at least, is Strategist. You just gotta pitch 1 to draw 1 and pitch an ice barrier to draw 1. It's a great way of fixing dead hands, because if you open the generals, they don't really do a whole lot, so you can get rid of them to be brought back later and you get to replace the card. Then for my other level 4, I'm running 1 copy of Dancer. If you control an ice barrier, you can reveal different names and hands to compulse spell and trap cards. It's a great way of clearing out your opponent's back row before battle phase, because storming and quaking is everywhere in Yu-Gi-Oh! Anymore. And then that's it for the stuff that can just be straight normal summoned. We got some higher level stuff now. Daisojo protects all of my ice barriers from destruction by spell and trap cards. It makes it so Dark Hole and Torrential just wipes your opponent's board, which makes them really good to play. So if you don't want to spend the money on Regeki for this deck like me, you can just play Dark Hole for your board wipe instead of Regeki. And then for the last ice barrier we got in the main deck, it's General Gantala. He brings back an ice barrier during each end phase, and he's a 2700 beats deck. It's a lot of fun when you bring back the Synchros, because people are just not expecting them to be brought back like that. Next up, trying to bring a little consistency in the deck, is 2 Blue Boy for the Spellbook engine. We'll be getting the rest of that a little bit later, but I play a slightly different version of the Spellbook engine than standard. And then we got 2 Baharestros for spell and trap card removal. He's also 3k defense. So he's a great way of walling up, and the whole deck's water, so you aren't ever going to be without the 2 banishes. And then that's it for the monsters. That's a total of 20 monsters in the main deck. Next up is spells. We got 3 copies of Medallion. Searches for any ice barrier. It's a great way of getting the combo pieces you need. And so it's just technically a better version of Rhoda, because it doesn't have a level restriction. Then we got 1 Triangle. It's a really good card if you can get it off, but you need to be able to pop something, and you need to have 3 different names in the hand, so it's not very good going first. Excuse me. And additionally, after turn 1, the deck dumps its hand pretty quick, so you're probably not going to be able to get 3 different names in your hand too easily after that. So I only played it 1 because I just don't see it, or I don't have it come up very often and it be good. Though in Duel Links, this is where it's at. Next up, we got 2 salvage for recycling priors or the other level 2 aquas for making your toads. Then we got 2 salvage for bringing them back. It's great. This plus prior is really fun because you bring prior back and then you tribute it to bring back any ice barrier that you actually need. And then I mentioned before Duel Links, and here's another card that you probably haven't seen be played unless you've been playing Duel Links, Water Hazard. If you don't control a monster, you can special summon a level 4 lower water monster. It's a great way to get going on the first turn because the deck in general is pretty slow, and it really helps you make that starting board, especially if you want to try and make a synchro play turn 1, going first or second. Next up, we're to the spellbook portion of the deck. So we got 2 secrets per normal, and we got 2 knowledge, again, kind of the normal ratio. And then here's where I change it up a bit. I run 1 spellbook of power because a lot of the main deck level 4s are all spellcasters, and so it really helps me deal with some of the bigger stuff, or beating over some bigger stuff that if I can't get into the extra deck that turn. And I keep running out of search targets, so I was like, you know what, power's got some use, and I always have a strategist on board. And then the last one, as I mentioned before, didn't want to spend the money on Raigeki. Dark Hole doesn't hurt me because of Daisojo, so play the 1 Dark Hole as a board wipe. That's 16 spells, sorry. And then for the traps, we're just running 3 back to the front. Again, keeps bringing your monster back. The deck's pretty slow, and you need to be able to reuse the resources you got. And then, again, because I play Daisojo, it doesn't hurt me as much. So we're playing 1 Torrential Tribute. It's a good disruption card, and you can clear out someone's board. I had some pretty fun for fun, I made the mistake of wanting to play against Spirals, and this had some fun times, right, Jay? I wish they could see you shaking your head right now. That's it for the main deck. 40 cards. Pretty fun. And then now we're getting to the extra deck. So we got 2 Toads. All the level 2 Aquas in here. I couldn't see a reason not to play them. Then for some more spell and trap card removals, if I can't, and the deck makes rank 4 surprisingly well for only playing 4 level 4s. We play a Tornado Dragon for back row removal and an Abyss Dweller because the whole deck's water. It's a great boost to have. And then we play the standard Utopia package. And then this has come up once. Unfortunately, I did not have this in the extra deck at the time, but I have had 2 copies of Gintala on the board at the same time. So having a rank 7 to go into is pretty good. I like playing Flare Metal personally because of the burn effect, and it can't be destroyed as long as it's got materials. So great way of walling up or securing a game that you just couldn't get the damage on board for. Then for the links, got the 2 Starboy. The deck can play a lot. You use the extra deck pretty well, and Toad is almost always on the field, so it's nice to have the ability to put some extra monsters on board and boosting Toad. Always fun. Last up, we got our Synchros. I run TG Hyperlibrarian. At one point it was an Archimedes. No real benefit one or the other except for this is a spellcaster, so I can use Spellbook of Power on it. With the level 2s, making a level 5 Synchro comes up way too often to not have one in the extra deck at all. So Archimedes or TG Hyperlibrarian, one of the 2 is highly suggested. And then 1 White Aura Whale on summon. It's a Raigeki and it keeps coming back, so it's a good way of defending. It also can attack twice and deals piercing. It just does a lot, really, I guess. And there's no level 8 Ice Barrier Synchro, so it's a good level to have. And then we play 1 of each of the Ice Barrier Synchros, so 1 Trish, one. I'm completely blanking on its name, even though it's in front of me. Gungnir. There we go. One Bryo and one Duloran, and that's it for the deck. I don't have I sort of have a side deck put together, but it's not really in the best spot right now, so we'll leave that for another time if I do an update for you guys.
All right, thank you, Michael, for doing this deck profile for us. Do you have any shout-outs you want to give?
Definitely Connor. It was his idea to do the DT decks. He did Gish keys for that, so look forward to that coming soon. I hope. Probably should have checked before I said that, but
Sure.
Cool.
Jay doing Jurax.
Yeah, we'll hopefully have that at some point in the near future. It's been a lot of fun to play. Like, I'll admit, this is never going to win me a locals, but this might be one of the most fun decks I've ever played, and it's definitely a fun deck.
All right.
So if you want something fun, not competitive, something to do to screw around with your friends, it's definitely something I suggest you guys try.
All right, thank you, Michael, for doing this deck profile for us. As always, be sure to like, comment on the video, and be sure to subscribe to Team Sanctum for more content. Our Patreon is in the description below, and as always, it's your boy Jay Corbett signing out.